Yo, so make sure we streaming. Um so yeah, back again. Pappy Day. I mean, not back again. I mean, I ain't done one of these in so long. I mean, literally, I don't even know the last time I did one of these. I actually know I do know when the season got suspended. So it's probably like about like a month ago. I've been saying that I'm gonna bring it back. Bringing it back. I just think that first of all, my bad in general for you know wait, what the hell? Oh, my bad. My bad. Anyway, that's how you know I ain't done it in a minute. I didn't even see my face. But anyway, I haven't done one in a minute. I've been saying I need to bring it back. I need to bring it back. Um, I mean, you guys hear me on Hoops and Brews, but sometimes I want to just get my opinions off without arguing. If you've been following me on Twitter, you've seen my like last dance text or whatever. Some people may think it's a little bit irrational, and like that's fine. Or like I was expecting too much, and I probably was. For me, the way it was, well, I'm gonna tell you the way, well, at least my impression of it was, growing up from Chicago, I was born in 1991. I was actually born in between games 2 and 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. So, in between, in 91 of the Bulls sweeping the Pistons. So I was born in between game 2 and game 3. I think that game 2 happened on the 21st of May, and I think game 3 happened on the 23rd of May. I was born on the 22nd of May, so I was born in between. So basically, I grew up. Um, like the Bulls are like my first memories in life. I think the '96 finals is probably no, not '96. When the Bulls won 70 games against Milwaukee, it's one of the first things I remember literally in life was the Bulls winning 70 games against Milwaukee. The '96 finals, like that's one of the first memories I have in life. The '97 All Star game, I remember that. Jordan, the flu game, I remember that. And like the way I remember these moments aren't even really through me necessarily watching the game. Obviously, I sat there and watched some of the games or saw certain moments in the games, but it's just what was going on, in my household. Like, I remember what my grandma said in these moments. You know, I remember when Alonzo Mourning put a knot on Scottie Pippen's head. And my grandma was like, "Look at that! His head swollen as a golf ball." Like I remember these things. Like these are how I remember these moments. So these moments are actually are moments that are very special to me, and to me they're a little bit deeper than just basketball. Some people just a basketball team, but nah, to me like these are my first life memories. And that's what I was coming, and the last dance to me just symbolizes everything about that era of it being the last dance. Like the last dance to me wasn't about Michael Jordan. It was about everybody. The fact that you knew everybody was coming back. I remember that time. Like it wasn't just that Jordan left. It's that Pip left. It's that Phil left. It's that Rodman left. It's that Kerr left. It's that so many people who had become staples of the Bulls franchise over the years were gone, and who had basically started from scratch, and you knew it was a new era. It wasn't just about it being Michael Jordan's last season. I mean, obviously Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan, so that's a thing. But it was also about everybody else. So when it was called The Last Dance, the reason why I was so excited was because I felt like we were getting a Bulls documentary that was going to be all inclusive of the Bulls. Obviously, Jordan is Jordan, so like I said, Jordan's going to get his fair share of time, which he should. I mean, it's Michael Jordan. Like, come on, bro, it's Michael Jordan. Like, yeah, Michael Jordan's going to get 60%, 70% of screen time and is going to speak a lot. But I personally thought that it would be. I don't feel like the documentary was told from the story of the Bulls. I feel like it was told from the story of Michael Jordan. And at a certain point in time, it became a like, yeah, let's pump up Michael Jordan and make Michael Jordan look even greater than he is. No, we're not greater than he is because Michael Jordan is obviously in even though I say I hate the GO conversation, just Jordan is what introduced me to the game of basketball. So what Jordan did for basketball, especially growing up a kid in Chicago, like I think the first jerseys I owned was probably like a Jordan, Pippen, and a Rodman jersey. You know what I'm saying? So not greater than he is, but make him look even more exalted and more of a basketball god than what he already is. And I took issue with some of that. It's not like I don't like the documentary. I think the documentary is great. I think it's well, great is a strong word. I think it's good. I wanted it to be great. I think it's good. At least the parts that I've seen. I've seen up to part 8. I haven't seen the full thing, so I had to reserve my judgment on parts 9 and 10. They may be amazing. Who knows? But some of the things I've seen is just like I would have liked a little bit more detail involved in the process, and I think that because I think that detail is very important. Um, for instance, like even I know I got into an argument with one of our fans on like the YouTube page when they were talking about episode one when they made it seem like Jordan played against Indiana and then he like went straight to, he played against Indiana on a 14 minutes restriction, which isn't exactly true. He played 22 minutes in that game. He was on a minutes restriction, but he had kind of like got to the point where he was playing more than 14 minutes. He played 22 minutes in that game. Then they set him down for the last however many seconds. Paxton hits a shot. They go on to win the game. The documentary made it seem like he played 14 minutes in that game. They sat him down, and then the next game they played the Boston Celtics. That's not what happened. He played 22 minutes. And it even makes Jordan's point about not trusting management stronger. Like it highlights that point when you highlight the fact he played 22 minutes. If I was on a 14 minutes restriction and I played 22 minutes, which is clearly over my 14 minutes, and it's 36 seconds left, bro, just leave me in the fucking game. Like, what's the worst that could happen at this point? If you were that concerned, you would have sat me down 8 minutes ago. It's 32 seconds. Leave me in the game. Now I understand even more why Jordan felt this mistrust from management and felt like they were trying to play for, a draft spot, a late lottery spot at that, like a draft spot and not play to win. But the way they described it, it actually made Mike look a little bit more irrational. Like, bro, they're just trying to do best by you. And, I mean, I get that a crazy maniac winner and you want to win, but, like, bro, you just broke your foot and, like, you've been on a 14 minutes restriction. But the way they made it seem, again, was like he was on a minutes restriction in that game. And the next game, they played against the Celtics, and he went 49-63. And in the final game, he had 19 points. That's not what happened. He played 5 games after that, all more than 22 minutes. Then he scored like 30 points one game. Like, he got 5 games to get in the swing before he played against Boston. But I think small little details like that are pivotal. Even when they were talking about the 91 finals. I think really one of the biggest keys in that series was the fact that they switched Scottie Pippen onto Magic Johnson. I would have loved to hear Scottie Pippen comment on that. Like, I think that that's very important. Like, obviously there's no Mike without Scottie. That's not a small detail to me. Like, Scottie Pippen is if you talk about 90s basketball. Well, first of all, Scottie Pippen is one of the 50 greatest players to ever play the game of basketball. And if you talk about importance, I mean, like Magic, Kareem. Larry McHale, Mike Scotty, one of the greatest duos in sports. Like when we talk about sports history, the history of sports, what you got? Maybe I want to say Brady Belichick. Maybe you have Brady Gronk, if that's what you want to call a duo. Maybe you have Jeter and A-Rod. Maybe you have Magic Kareem. Maybe you have Kobe and Shaq. But Mike and Scotty is at the top of that list. And I feel like Scotty's work on Magic Johnson in that series should have been highlighted more. Like, I want to know how Scottie Pippen felt about having to be able to accept the challenge and guarding Magic Johnson. That's not a small detail to me. And to me, that all plays, I mean, obviously, whatever, a story about, Michael Jordan, whatever. But I also think that plays a part into his story. Also, when they talked about John Paxson stepping up big in Game 5, I want to hear what all John Paxson said was like, yeah, Phil got Mike to trust his teammates. That tells me, that gives John Paxson no personality. I want to know how you felt in that moment. Like, I can only imagine being John Paxson. We sit down in the huddle, I'm sipping my Gatorade, and Phil talking to Mike like, yo, who open? Mike like John Paxson. I'm like, oh shit, like the ball coming to me. I got to be ready. How did you feel in that moment? Like, even more so than, Mike just trusting his teammates. How did you feel about the fact that, Jordan passed you like that, that you knew that you were gonna be, that this, I don't want to say pressure, but that this weight was placed on you. Like, yeah, he about to trust me, but like, I don't want to mess up this trust. Like, how did you feel in that moment? Did it empower you? Like, even I think that can be a story about how Jordan empowered his teammates. You know what I'm saying? But like a positive story. I feel like a lot of stories about Jordan empowering his teammates is about, him being so hard on them, him, demanding excellence. But this is like a positive thing. I think the fact that like, yo, you pass me the ball in these moments, like that gives me, the greatest player in the world pass me the ball, trust and entrusted me in this situation to lead us to it to well help us win a championship. Like we aren't talking about a game in December or January. We're talking about a championship. Like I think that these aren't small details. And we can progress in the documentary along, and there are many moments, and I just feel like a lot of it becomes that everybody's talking from Jordan's viewpoint. You know, even when we get to Jordan's retirement. Yeah, you've never heard Jordan speak on Jordan's retirement, but we've also never heard a lot of his teammates speak about how they felt when Jordan retired. You know, like Scotty. Now, granted, I've seen all 8 parts. I won't ruin it. Not all 8 parts, just 10 parts. I've seen 8 parts. I won't ruin it. But when we get to the part about Mike's retirement, I hope that it's not just about Michael Jordan talking about Michael Jordan retirements or Michael Jordan and writers. Like, no, I want to know what. I obviously want to know what Mike thought. Obviously, it's Michael Jordan talking about Michael Jordan, but along with that, Michael Jordan's retirement didn't just affect Michael Jordan. It affected the whole organization. It affected the whole league. It affected the whole world. You know, so I want to hear about the guys who were in the foxhole with Michael Jordan. I want to hear, you know, how Horace Grant felt when he got the news Jordan was retiring. I want to hear how Scottie Pippen felt when he got the news Jordan was retiring. If I'm not mistaken, it happened in October. It wasn't even like it happened, you know, early in the summer. It happened in October. You know, let me real quick look up exactly the day that Jordan retired for the first time. Michael Jordan retires first time, so I can get the actual day. Michael Jordan retires first time. I'm trying to find the actual day. This is 1999 article. I'm still trying to find the guy the very exact day. I'm not gonna spend too much longer trying to find the exact day. Let's see if I can scroll a little bit more. Click on one more article. It's way late November. Regardless, I can't find the exact date, but I know it was in October. It wasn't basically what I'm saying was it's not like this retirement took place in like June or took place in July or took place in August. Like it took place 1 or 2 months before the season started. So you may have heard chatter, you may have heard rumors, you may have heard like, man, Mike is about to, do something. You may have been hearing this from June, but it's different from hearing it and then it being a reality 2 months before the season starts when you thinking you going from your fourth ring to like, oh shit, we just lost Michael Jordan. Like, what does that did? Like, what did that do? How did you feel about that, Scottie Pippen? Were you sad about it, or were you deep down maybe a little bit excited to show like, yo, I'm Scottie Pippen. I'm pretty damn good too, and y'all gonna respect me. You know what I'm saying? So these are certain things that I wanted to know. Even when we get to the 92 finals, the bench, they made a run late in game 4. Not game 4, game 6. They made a run in the fourth quarter. If you like go back and watch the game, pull up the fourth quarter highlights. It's Scott Williams, Stacey King, and basically the bench who led the team to victory. Is there a mention to that in the documentary? I think that's something important. Like I think that Jordan as a teammate and his team also adds to his story. I don't want Michael Jordan's viewpoint on everything that happened with the Bulls. I want the Bulls' viewpoint as well as Michael Jordan's viewpoint. And that was just some of my issue with it. It's not like I don't like the documentary. I think that some of the background footage was great. I think the background footage was dope as far as, a lot of this unseen footage that would have been, locked away for years and stored away. I think it's dope. I, love the way the film looks. It looks, it looks retro, but it still looks fresh. Especially me growing up in that time period. Like, it seems like it was just yesterday. Even though it was 22 years ago and I was 6 years old, it still seems like it's just yesterday, really, in many ways. But yeah, like, I just wanted more. Like, I'm sorry. I just wanted more. Like, I care more than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when Rodman had the 96 finals, people don't know. In my humble opinion, that might be Jordan's worst, one of his worst playoff series in general. That might be it. Like, he shot like 40%, which is well below Jordan's career averages for a series. I don't think you can find many series outside of the fact, outside of the, I think it's 92 conference finals when I think he averaged like 40 points, but he shot like 40% or something like that. He averaged something crazy, but he did shoot like 40% for that series. I think that's one of the other times, but he shot 40% and averaged like 28 points. It wasn't even 30. That's well below what Jordan does in playoff series. Um, Rodman had a finals record for offensive rebounds in game one, and then tied his own record for rebounds in game two. How can you sit up there and say that like that's not something that's important to Michael Jordan or to the Bulls story? Especially when Rodman is on the documentary. That needs to be highlighted. When they get to talk about the 96 finals, I don't just want to see all Jordan footage. I want to see them make some mention of that. And I'm not asking for you to go out there and make a whole like 2 hour soliloquy about it. Just mention it. And I know people, the other point I got on Twitter was that documentaries are meant for you to go back and research it. Bro, people don't do that. People aren't that curious. The way you know people aren't that curious is I'm seeing NBA players, guys like Trae Young, or even when Donovan was tweeting, they act like they surprised that Mike did all this. Bro, y'all in the NBA, I'm sure y'all bought a pair of Jordans before. Log online, pull up the highlights, pull up Basketball Reference. It's all public knowledge. People aren't curious. Because if you were curious, you would know this already. It's not like they saying anything in the doc for the most part that we ain't know. The Jordan rules. I see everybody tweeting about the Jordan rules. Bro, the Bad Boy Pistons did a doc like 5 years ago in which they told you what the Jordan rules were. That ain't new. This ain't new information. They told you already. If you was really that curious and if you cared that much, you would know all this stuff already. So people aren't that curious. People in general aren't curious. If you don't lay the information out for them directly, they're not going to go look for it. Period. That's just how it is. They aren't curious. Again, it's public information. Everybody in the world done probably bought a pair of Michael Jordan shoes. Well, I don't want to say everybody in the world, but I'm pretty sure at least if you interested enough to check out this documentary, at some point in your life, you probably purchased a pair of Jordan shoes. If you were really curious, you would have logged online and looked about the shoes you was purchasing. But you not that curious. You don't care like that. So you have to spell things out for people and put it right in their faces, or else they're not going to go. They're not going to go look at it. No, I didn't see a single other human being who watched this documentary bring up the fact that in episode 1, they basically made it, they insinuated that 14 minutes restriction was the rest of the season. Besides me, I was the only one who logged online, went to the game log and pulled it up. I ain't seen nobody else do that. Why? Because people not curious. They not curious. They aren't. You have a very small group of people who are actually curious. Most people ain't that curious in life. In life, we got phones, smartphones, we got computers, we got everything else. There's no reason for us to not know knowledge, but people still don't know knowledge. And you can look it up instantly. People not curious. We live in an age in which information is very privy to us, but people either one don't know how to use the technology to get the information they want, or just are lazy about finding the information, or don't care to find the information. So I get that, you might think the point of a documentary is to make you go out there and look for it more, but I don't think that's what people do. I think people look at what's on a documentary and take it at its word, and then be like, oh, okay, well, that's it. For instance, Isaiah and his wrist surgery. I remember on the Bad Boy Pistons doc, Isaiah was like, yeah, man, I like messed up my wrist. It wasn't the Bad Boy Pistons doc. It was the I think it was when Magic and Isaiah had that meeting, that little sit down that they had, and they were talking about, when they lost to the Bulls. He was like, man, back in our days, somebody found out something wrong with you, they would do that. They, slap your wrist, slap your wrist, slap your wrist. Basically, Isaiah said he had a bad wrist. I never knew that. Or Isaiah might have made mention to it in the Bad Boy Pistons doc, whatever. I never knew that. But most people who aren't curious would just take that at their word. It's a game on YouTube. You can go watch it right now. It's the full game. 1991 Chicago Bulls Spurs. Type it in from like April 4th. In that game, they got a halftime show, and I think Isaiah Thomas makes his return against, I think, Minnesota that night. Scored like 19 points or something like that. But that's showing, oh shit, he really did have wrist surgery. Makes me look at the whole series differently. But most people aren't that curious. They don't care. Unless you spell it out for them, they're not gonna look. So I'm sorry. Like I just personally care. Again, like I was very excited to watch this because these, again, were like my first memories in life. Like, it's not just, these moments aren't just like about basketball for me. I mean, they are, but they're not. You know, like this is what me and my I grew up with. Like my grandmother. Like my grandmother was like 70 years old when I was like 6. What the fuck do we have in common outside of we like Michael Jordan? That's probably the only time we would, when I was younger, we would talk in the household. Other than that, I'm in the basement playing video games and stuff like that. So like these Bulls things were like bonding moments for everybody. So it's deeper than just basketball for me, and I want the story told how it actually happened, not the for TV Michael Jordan's version of the story, because that's not exactly what happened. And again, it's not me saying I hate the documentary. I don't think it's bad. I think that for the casual fan, like it serves its purpose, I guess. But for me, I mean, I for the most part haven't. The only thing that I learned that I did not know about was Scottie Pippen requesting that trade mid-season. I had no idea Scottie Pippen requested the trade mid-season. Also, the Dennis Rodman Vegas trip. I don't think I didn't know about that. I knew Dennis Rodman was a wild boy. I didn't know that man asked to go to Vegas mid-season. That I didn't know. But for the most part, as far as like the details, I haven't really heard none. And I was like, oh, okay, this is like riveting information. I think that how John Paxson felt would have been riveting information. I think that how Scottie Pippen felt about being, entrusted to guard Magic Johnson would have been riveting information. Or, somebody on the thing. I mean, obviously, that's not about Magic, but you interview Magic, like, yo, how was it when Scottie guarded you? Like, yo, what was that defense like? Like, man, Scottie did a hell of a job on me, man. I got to give him credit. That changed the whole series. I don't need much. I just want them little one quotes. I don't need much. You set Paxton up there to say, yeah, Phil got Mike to trust his teammates. Okay, you could have set Paxton up there to say, man, when they called on me, I was nervous, but I knew I had to go out there and do my job. Now you just told me how you felt. Damn, Paxton was nervous in that moment, but he knew he had to go out there and get his job. He felt empowered by the fact that he called up on him and that Mike actually passed him the ball. You didn't tell me any knowledge about you. You just, again, told me something through the lens of Michael Jordan and not through the eyes of John Paxson, who is just as much a part of this team as Michael Jordan. Obviously, Jordan is the guy who's going to get all the credit, but shit, Paxson put in work. Paxson was a shooter. Paxson hit one of the biggest shots in Bulls history. If you want to talk about the top 5 biggest shots in Bulls history, I think John Paxson is has one of the top 5 biggest shots in Bulls history. If you want me to give my top 5 off the top of my head, shot on Elo. Obviously the shot in '98. Shot on Elo, shot in '98. I gotta go with Paxton's game winner. I have to go with Paxton's game winner. After that, I want to go with Jordan's layup in '91, just because like crazy as hell. And then after that, I probably gotta go with it's another huge, incredible shot by Michael Jordan that I think. And you know what? I might honestly have to go with D Rose's shot against the Cavs. I think that that's something you won't understand unless you were from Chicago or in Chicago. But I was actually I had moved to LA, but I was actually in Chicago when that shot happened. And just to see D Rose after everything that he had been through. I mean, obviously the series didn't turn out the way you wanted it to turn out, but to be able to have that moment in Chicago, I think was special for the city. And yeah, I think that was. I'm sorry. I think that's one of the biggest shots in Bulls history as well. Regardless, though, Paxson has one of the biggest shots in Bulls history. So Paxson is just as much a part of this as anybody else. Rodman is, Scottie is, and I just want these stories told as well as Jordan's story told. I just think that everything was told through the eyes of Michael Jordan. And granted, I mean, people was like, yo, what's a Michael Jordan doc? How did you not know that? Because you named it The Last Dance. To me, The Last Dance as a child growing up in Chicago was about more than just Michael Jordan. It was about that whole team. I think the next year, the only people that was still there was like Kukoc and like Ron Harper and maybe like Dickie Simpkins stayed around or something like that. Maybe Scott Brunel stayed around too. I don't know. Regardless, most of the guys that you knew and loved and grew up watching and grew up seeing weren't there the next year. So The Last Dance was about more than just Michael Jordan retiring to me. So when you name it The Last Dance, then I'm thinking that I'm going to get something different. But that's just my opinion on it. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad doc. I'm not saying I'm not going to watch it. I enjoy it. I think it's cool. I think it's cool TV. I think it's definitely something to get us through, this little quarantine period. But yeah, I just expected more personally. I'm sorry. I just did. Like, these moments are more than basketball to me. And I just expected more. I just expected to, walk away truly wild, and I haven't so far up to this point at least. Granted, obviously only been 4 episodes aired. I've personally seen 8. There's 2 more. I haven't really been wild yet. I'm like, oh, it's good television, but I haven't really been wild and like glued to my TV and like, wow, like, yo, this is like, wow. Like I haven't had that moment yet. I'm sorry, I just haven't. But that's just me. I'll look at the chat and see if you guys got any questions. I haven't looked at the chat. Oh yes, Steve Kershaw. Forgot about that. Forgot about the Steve Kershaw. Steve Kershaw. How could I leave Steve Kershaw? Yeah, take D Rose shout out. Put Steve Kershaw in there. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest ones as well. Um, let's see what else. What up, Pavi? Jerry Krause was a jerk the way he treated Scottie Pippen and doing those bull championship teams. Yeah, I think that he. The thing about the way he treated Scottie Pippen was Scottie Pippen signed the contract, and I mean, you hope that people. It's a really touchy situation. Reason being is because you can understand why Scottie signed the contract. You got a family to take care of. Obviously, injuries can happen. This was in like a time when players, weren't playing 15 years. Anything can happen. And also, people got to remember the other thing that I think should have been highlighted about Scottie's contract was the fact that he signed that contract, if I'm not mistaken, they said in 1991. Depending on when he signed that contract in 1991, he's coming off a non-All-Star season. If he signed it, let's say at the end of 91, going into the 92 season, then he signed that contract coming off not a All-Star season. If he signed it in, let's say, before the 91 season started, like, before the 91-92 season started, then he's coming out for All-Star season. But in 1991, he didn't make the All-Star team. The first year that the Bulls won the championship, Scottie wasn't an All-Star. So if he signs that contract in 1991, you're getting the deal. You're getting a non-All-Star deal. Like you'll hear agents talk all the time about there's a difference between 19 points and 20 points. The money you gonna make for averaging 20 points and the money you make for averaging 19 points might be a $10 million difference. These are all small things in documentary that I would have liked to see highlighted. Like I personally think that's a huge thing to Scottie Pippen's contract story. When did you sign that deal? Did you sign it coming off an All-Star season, or did you not sign it coming off an All-Star season? Even when Jerry Reinsdorf allegedly says he told him don't sign the deal. So I mean, we can say Krause was a jerk or Krause was an asshole or whatever, but you signed the deal. Like I don't have to give you a new deal. I don't have to. It would be in good favor of me too, but I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that. And also, even with Jerry Krause, I think one thing you see is that they just picked on the man consistently. And everybody has an ego in like a situation like that. Everybody is gonna feel like, yo, I want credit for putting this thing together. Like, you got Dennis Rodman in a trade for Will Perdue. Will Perdue, bro. Now you can say Krause was against it at first, but obviously I think Krause was the guy who signed off on it. Obviously, so he had to make the trade. You got Rodman for Will Perdue. You got Scottie Pippen for Olin Polynice. Y'all don't even know who Olin Polynice is. You probably don't even know what team actually drafted Scottie Pippen. So you can say what you want to about Jerry Krause, but Krause wanted some credit, and I think that he just felt like the athletes got all the credit and not the person who put the team together. But that's always the issue with situations like this is that somebody is always gonna feel like that they deserve more credit and that they didn't get enough credit, and it is what it is. But I'm gonna see what else is in the chat, and I'm gonna get off here pretty soon. Let's see what else you guys are talking about. Let's see. Yeah, he was an All-Star in 1990, but not in 1991. Yeah, exactly. They got beat by the Pistons 3 straight years. I knew I wasn't tripping by the fact that they didn't. I don't think they really alluded to that enough. Like the timeline to me kind of got confused, and at like a certain point they didn't really allude to the fact that this happened 3 straight years. Even when they were showing like the montage of footage, like it was all from different years and different times mixed up in one. It wasn't like, yo, this is this season, this is this season, this is this season, this is this season. But again, that's just my opinion. I just wanted more. I'm sorry. Like I said, the '90s Bulls are just more than basketball to me. Like it's more than these are my first memories in life. Literally, my first memories in life involved the Chicago Bulls in the '90s and that last three-peat. My first memories in life involved this. So it's more than just basketball to me. There was a lot of stuff going on in my house, and the Bulls were a positive escape, I think, for everybody in my household. Like, my grandma would watch every Bulls game, and just, remembering just hearing her voice when certain things would happen, So these things are just, like I said, bigger than basketball to me. And I just wanted more, and what I got was not more. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying it's not quality TV. And also, I don't know why everybody thinks they have to think something is terrible just because I wasn't completely satisfied. I don't know why in this world everything has to be either the best thing ever or trash. It can be good. It can be okay. It can be decent. Just because I'm pointing out things that I don't like doesn't mean I think that it was a terrible documentary. Like, no, if somebody puts it on, I'll watch it. But I don't think it's, at least from what I've seen, the best documentary I've ever seen. I even think the Bad Boy Pistons documentary was doper. Now, maybe it could be because I'm not as connected to the situation. Maybe you ask a fellow, a lifelong Detroiter, they might have a different opinion. But again, like I said on the show, what I liked about that documentary was I feel like for the most part, everybody who meant something to that, everybody who really meant something to that team got to tell their story from their viewpoint, and not just from like Isaiah's viewpoint. But that's just my personal opinion. Like I said, I'm gonna make sure I do these way more often for you guys. I've been slipping, and I need to get back on that. We in quarantine again. I hope all you guys are being safe. Well, no, we're not in quarantine. We're in self-isolation. And I hope all you guys are staying safe. Don't be out here doing anything stupid and putting yourself as well as others in harm's way, especially your older relatives or ones who may have weakened immune systems. And yeah, Pappy Daily Takes. I'm gonna try to talk to you guys tomorrow. Make sure I'll be back, with something. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm gonna put at least some of this on Twitter, blast it out, and yeah, talk to you guys.